This was once a land of fable, of adventure. A magical land full of characters and creatures that resemble those in the stories you've been told. In this land, time is hazy, and everyone spends their lives searching for their happy ever-afters. There was harmony, forces of good working for those happy endings. But evil was always lurking around the corner. Now, a terrible calamity has occurred. A massive explosion, a series of attacks. Our land has lost its magic, drained away by some unknown force. Our realm needs help. People from other places, other worlds, who can use their powers to bring back what we once had. Adventurers, thank you all for coming. Our fate now rests on your shoulders. Welcome to Reverie.
All right, last time, once upon a time in Reverie, our heroes were directed to go to Rose Cottage and the Woodland Village, with the end goal of speaking to Gaston in the Handsome Hunter, as he had fought and killed the crocodile that had plagued Captain Hook. Before they left, they learned from the White Rabbit that he had witnessed the captain seemingly resurrecting one of his crew. At Rose Cottage, they met the sweetly manic Fauna, who gave the party a handful of kooky but potentially helpful items. In the Woodland Village, the party stopped by Arabella's shop and met Maurice, who sent them on a seemingly endless fetch quest, in which they met Pierre the bookseller, Antoine the teller, Milo the cartographer, Flower the herbalist, and Rapunzel the artist. Rapunzel finally ended the endless errands and directed them to the Handsome Hunter to meet Gaston and the famous LeFou. So you've just exited kind of the main drag of shops and storefronts, and just past it at the end of the road is a rather rustic but rather large building. A wooden sign says "The Handsome Hunter" and features a muscular man pulling back a crossbow. We going in? Okay. So the tavern is relatively full. There are plenty of rustic-looking wooden chairs and tables, mostly facing the obvious stage on one side. It's clearly leaned hard into the hunter theme, with animal trophies, weapons, and even armors lining the walls. It's a bit cluttered in places, but it's noticeably less so by the stage, with its wood gleaming. The bar is on the other side of the very large room, run by a trio of pretty young blondes. Pretty young blonde ladies, I should have said. That matters. There's a large chair near the back of the seating area that has a crown of antlers on it. An extremely muscular man is draped over the chair, taking large sips from his very large tankard of ale. He's surrounded by people, some talking to him, some talking to each other, but he seems to be vaguely ignoring them all. Do I have any things you want to look for? Things you're looking at in this moment?
I can't look.
Do you have any things you want to smell? I should be doing that every time we go into a new place. I need to start writing down what you can smell. I'm going to tell you that you can smell very much beer. The overwhelming smell of this place is beer, which tells you they keep it relatively clean because it is a tavern. So there'd be other smells, and you can smell those too, but it is mostly beer. And also like animal. It's clear that, very hunter vibe. So it's coming from some of the, mounted heads, but also clearly plenty of people have spent their time in some form around animals.
Question about the universe. Were these animals like, to the mental capacity of me, or?
So I think it's fair to say, even just based on your guys' limited traveling so far, that you have encountered animals that don't appear to be like the mice, okay, and that you have encountered animals like Flower and like the mice that are sentient. So I think I can tell you this without it being a secret to anyone else, that there's like kind of two different kinds. There's animals that are sentient that, whether they're super smart or not, are sentient, can talk and be understood by others. And you guys all saw that with Flower, it didn't matter if no one had to cast speak with animals. They could understand Flower. Um, but it wasn't like Flower was talking like this, right? You could understand Flower. Whereas there's other animals, you've seen birds flying by and squirrels or whatever in the forest when you were on your way here that like didn't stop to chat. That just seems normal. There are animals that are non-sentient. So here's hoping that all the animals on the wall are non-sentient, because that seems a little less war crimey.
And is there like music playing or what are the sounds like?
There is not currently music playing. You do see there is a piano up near the stage. You don't see there's a piano up near the stage. I would say you've been in here before, I'm sure, and you have at some point heard piano music here.
We are aware that there's a piano to be played in this.
You are aware there's a
area.
piano somewhere in the room.
Cool.
Oh no, I just Oh my God. I would never have thought that. It is like Wicked. There's animals and then there's animals. Yes. Yes. Correct. Correct. Anything else anyone's looking for?
Aside from Gaston and his entourage, does anyone else look interesting? Like if Z is looking around, does anyone else look interesting? Does anyone look like maybe they're not supposed to be here?
Um, I'm gonna say no. I think I'm not even gonna make you give it perception. I'm just gonna tell you no. Like this, this looks very much like you would expect. I guess give me an insight.
Oh, it's not
I got
bad.
something I could throw you.
It's not bad. Inside is a 22.
Okay, great. Then I can tell you this. So you notice these trio of like giggly, blonde, young girl barmaids. You notice them, but when you watch them for a second, you can tell that they're like running the bar area. They're not just like, honey, like they're not just,
They're
they
also
may have acts.
bouncers slash enforcers.
Well, they're also clearly like in charge. So, although they may kind of act like they're just like ditzy young girls who don't know what they're doing, like this is clearly not their first day on the job, and they're clearly not just bartenders or waitresses or whatever. They're
So,
like in
so they're
charge
so they're like
of that area of
plain
the bar.
vapid, but they're not as vapid as they look.
Yes, absolutely. It's pretty obvious that that's their thing they do, but seems like they do know what they're doing.
Nice, nice.
Okay, so you've only been in there for like a couple minutes. You've been able to get your bearings, your surroundings, taken the crowd, when suddenly you hear kind of the cliche trumpet fanfare, and the crowd of people, all with like all the chairs are kind of facing mostly, or at least easily turned towards the stage. And the crowd of people all start their conversations and cheer, raising their glasses towards the empty stage. The piano player comes out and starts playing a little jaunty musical sting. And then a young man in an absolutely outrageous outfit comes on stage. The variety of colors and prints really shouldn't work together, but this flamboyant little guy somehow pulls it off. He projects an air of charming self deprecation from the moment he walks on stage that inherently makes you like him a little bit, as if he hopes you'll bear with him while he does his silly little jokes. So um, he walks down the stage, everyone's cheering still for him. They quiet down enough for him to be heard. And you kind of miss a lot of his intro, and it's very clear that everyone's heard it a million times. He does the same thing. And he is starting in on his silly little jokes. He goes, did Robin Hood say to his girlfriend? And you can hear like half of the crowd doing some version of, I don't know, what did he say? Sure would like to be your Valentine. Uh, There's some laughter, howls, and boos. It's clear like LeFou is in on the joke, as it were. They're like booing as much as they're giggling, so they don't seem super bothered. Everyone knows it's bad, and that's what they're here for. He says, "Why is Cinderella so bad at baseball? Because she had a pumpkin for a coach." The head shakes.
Not gonna lie, that one would probably get like an unintended chuckle. Like Z would feel embarrassed about giggling over it, but she would probably chuckle.
And you can see that's kind of the vibe, is that it's clear that most of the people have been here before and they knew what they were getting into. So, they're either like, if they're booing, they're being like, "Oh, boo, that's damn." Like it's all in there together. It says, "We've got our fairy godmother watching out for us. Who takes care of all of the fish? The fairy godmother." And you literally see like a tomato go flying, but it's so like not even close to him that it's obvious it's for effect and no one's actually trying to hit him. Just splats on the stage, like a few feet away from him, and he dramatically is like
I
acting
think
like it was really going for him.
having met Fairy Godmother, that one actually gets a snort out of Leo.
Hey, I hear all the fairies are living at the Lost Boys tree now. They all just live under toadstools instead because there's not mushroom. He's like laughing at his own joke. In one point, he sees a couple people who are like doing the whole kind of fake booing. He's like, "Oh, come on, you can grunt if you want, but that one made you laugh. I saw it." And this whole time, you have heard a laugh being louder than any of them, deep in body. And if you look over, it's very easy to spot that it's Gaston. Even at the worst joke, he is laughing hysterically like he's never heard it before in his life.
Does he seem like he's doing this just to support a really good friend, or does it look like he's legitimately enjoying this because he has no brain cell?
That's an inside check.
Patrick has made his way like to a table and is just sitting on top of the table, just giggling at each of the jokes.
14.
What'd you get?
14.
You're not entirely sure, but it seems like he's genuinely enjoying himself. It's possible there's also some routine in there, like he's always doing this, but like he seems genuinely to be enjoying all of these very stupid jokes. So after a little bit of these terrible jokes, he starts into a rather bawdy number full of obvious double entendres. He's a pretty good singer. Not like I'm gonna stop and stare because he's so stunning, but he sounds good. The crowd is like clapping, some of them even singing along. It's obvious that this is one that like he has the same routine and he does it a lot, and everyone knows all the words of this song if they come here more than a few times. And everyone is very much enjoying themselves. I would love to hear from someone who hasn't made a comment about their character's reaction. I just saw your comment. But their character's reaction to all of this.
Mal is just like standing there with an increasingly larger frown growing on her face, just like arms crossed, kind of like, what the fuck is this?
Valid.
Anastasia doesn't really get the jokes, but she's there having a good time.
I love her. I love her vibes. I love all of her vibes. What about Tristan?
Tristan is having the time of her life. She is thoroughly enjoying the performance. She definitely lost it at the pumpkin coach joke.
I love it.
But yeah, she's having a good time.
So are you guys heading for a table to just like enjoy yourselves for a little bit, or are you going to try to actually go do something now?
Mal is going to go to the bar to look for gin.
was gonna say,
Valid.
both the Master of Darkness and Chauncey make their way to the bar, clearly like knowing their way around and how to get there. And they order their usuals. And then
Wait, I have to know what their usuals are, though. What would they drink?
okay, so Chauncey's is like a glass of red wine.
Oh, I love it.
And I think Master of Darkness is probably just like whiskey on the rocks. But the Master of Darkness also gets like a dainty, like very nice glass of champagne, and he like balances it over and brings it to Anastasia as he like carries this glass over to her.
Oh my God, I love that. I would say they definitely have like a variety of sizes of uh glassware.
This is
Even the
Anastasia's
smallest one is
size.
probably a little bit big for you guys because you're on the smaller end of the animals that might come in here. But it's like doable. They're not falling over themselves to carry it, but it's more like big for them. It's not a tiny cup.
And then Chauncey brings Patrick just like a Miller Lite.
That's what they have on tap here, baby. So Anastasia gets a glass of champagne.
Yes.
Oh, what is this?
It's bubbly.
Bubbly. Bubbly.
It's alcohol.
Oh, I have never had this kind before. What does it taste? Should I just taste it?
That's it.
Oh,
So
I told you it's bubbly.
it really is bubbly. I like this bubbly.
Good.
Thank you.
Would you like to sit down?
Oh, sure. Is that how you drink bubbly? You sit and you drink?
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. I sit down.
she is baby, and I love her. Mal, you were going over to try to find Jin.
Yes.
I would say that you get a surprised look for sure. But she's like, and she takes a rummage and finds something. It's definitely not like it's clear that everything here at this place would probably qualify as the cheap stuff. Like there's really nothing here that isn't the cheap stuff. And they're open about it. There's no like trying to cover the label and make it look fancy. It is what it is. But there is something that is passable for gin that you are able to order.
Bold of you to assume that Mal would like top shelf gin. You have more faith in her than I do.
Fair, fair.
Oh, what did I do? Okay. I think that Leo would give his flask a shake to see if it needs to be refilled before he heads over to the bar, but then he will also head over to the bar and get a drink. Which I think that we said that his flask had whiskey in it, so he'll also just get whiskey.
Um, they don't. All of you besides the mice who go over very clearly get kind of like double takes. I'm gonna say they ask for your name as well. Where it becomes it's very clear that like they don't you don't see them exchanging a whole bunch of like coins or anything like that. It's kind of a tab situation. And so they know everyone. And so if they see someone they don't and you order, they're kind of like, oh, okay. And they're keeping track of who you are. All right, so are we where are we all at? Who's going? Are we still watching the performance? Are we
I think
looking around? What else we got?
Z would also, after a few of the jokes have gone and gotten like a glass of wine, because otherwise I don't think she's gonna make it.
Valid.
But she after she gets her glass of wine, she is gonna try to find a table where she can keep an eye on both LeFou and Gaston and his entourage.
As long as you're not trying to find a table that's completely empty, like you're gonna have no trouble finding spots. This place is not like full up.
She'll make friends with she'll make friends with strangers if there's a table, as long as there's a table where she can keep an eye on both. She'll sit down in an empty chair, even if there's other people at the table, as long as they don't raise a fuss.
Yeah, and no one is. You do continue to, and you've been getting this since you arrived. You do continue to get kind of double takes, but it's not like, ooh, double takes. It's more kind of like, wait, I don't know your face. What? Oh, okay. It's kind of a lot of kind of like, nods, whatever. Um, they're okay with it, clearly. No one looks like bothered by your presence, but everyone's a little confused. But honestly, they're not focusing on you. They notice you briefly, and then they're paying attention again to LeFou continuing on to another silly little number. In terms of what you're wearing, I'm gonna leave that up to you, but I would assume you're not, because what you knew you were going to do was go to Rose Cottage and go to the village and talk to someone. So like it didn't seem like there was really any chance of combat. No one gave you any indication that anyone would be adversarial. So I would assume that all of you went in your kind of clothes and not armor, unless you're someone who literally only wears armor. Actually, I'm curious, are there any of you that like, I'm assuming like, what does Master of Darkness wear? Does he wear anything?
Cloak of Darkness.
Okay. I kind of figured.
I mean, he's like in leathers, like black leathers with a black cloak. Patrick is the one that has like armor, like heavy armor.
Okay.
And he would
wear
that. That's just like his standard outfit. And
that's what I was assuming. So Patrick is probably in armor. Is there anyone else who would be wearing their armor just like that's what they wear normally?
Yeah, I mean, Z's not like, her armor's not armor. It's definitely more like rogue leathers and whatnot, but it's very much clearly uniform versus just nice Sunday best.
Okay, that makes sense.
And as a paladin, Anastasia's not really wearing armor, strangely.
Not suspicious at all.
No.
Because she didn't introduce herself. She introduced herself as a paladin. Did she say of someone?
Yes, I heard it. The moon goddess starts with an L. Something.
I just couldn't remember. Okay. Most of the people in here it's kind of a combination of something, and not as uniformy as Zephyr's, obviously. But there's lots of people in kind of the equivalent of leathers, and there's also lots of people who are in kind of just regular clothes. Combination of the two.
Since Leo has like heavy armor, he's definitely not wearing it. I just wanted to make sure that we had already discussed that because I couldn't remember.
Yeah, that kind of makes a difference for how Leo is, even just carrying himself. I think that mouse in heavy armor is not strange here because the animals can kind of do whatever they want, and everyone's just like, well, it's a mouse, whatever. But I think a full-sized human walking in heavy armor might like confuse people, at least shock them a little bit, be like, what's happening? Yeah, I would say Zay is definitely standing out with the whites. for sure. That is not a color that is in here pretty much at all. Lots of tans and browns and greens and reds and not really any whites happening. So sticking out a little bit. It's been a few minutes, I would say. If you guys are just kind of sticking around and watching, his set is not really that long. It's pretty clear that you can hear you overhear some people talking about things, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I like the one." So like when he's singing one of his songs, someone makes a comment of like, "Oh, I like the one he sings next hour better." You overhear enough little comments that it's clear that he kind of comes on and off a lot during the night. So none of his sets are very long, which is probably great for everyone because how long can you stand terrible jokes and silly little songs? So after a few more songs and a few more like terrible jokes, he kind of waves himself off and be like, I'll see y'all crazy kids in a little bit. And he waves himself off stage. And again, the kind of whoops and cheers and fake boos. And he walks off stage. The piano player stays. And it's almost like, okay, now it's his set. And everyone's not staring at him. Everyone kind of turns back to what they were doing. But now you've got that piano player is kind of playing in the background for everyone. What to do?
So, who's all close to Anastasia? She go, so was the guy on stage Gaston? Or
Oh, no, that's Le Fou. Well, Le Fou.
he's a fool?
Yes.
So then who is Gaston?
Listen for the most annoying one.
Most annoying one. Oh, all right, let's see. I'm trying to listen into other people's conversations. Who is annoying?
If you try to listen to other people's conversations to hear that, you're going to get very confused because a lot of other, there's a lot of good-natured, rowdy conversations happening. That's kind of the overall vibe. It is a fairly masculine vibe. And there's a lot of kind of like good-natured ribbing, even things where you're like, I would say to your ear, where you're even given your upbringing, where you're even like, oh my gosh, are they like gonna fight? And then they're like, one of them bursts out laughing and then it's all good. Or one of them downs their drink and walks away and it's fine.
Oh, man, there's a lot of violence in the air.
Yes, the toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. That's such a good way to word that. Did you come up with that yourself?
No, Patrick told me about it.
Oh, and Patrick is which one?
Patrick's my brother. He's not the snobby one, the one that's a little dumb.
Oh, yes, Patrick. No, he's a star in his own way.
You could say that, yes.
So, from me listening in, I haven't found the annoying one yet. Are they sitting further away from me?
I will point in the direction that I can hear. Can I still?
Oh yeah, because you can definitely.
Yeah.
With your level of hearing, there's no question. If you take 1 minute, at some point he will say or laugh or do something that you can tell. Up, yeah, that's where he is.
I point him out to you.
Oh, he is like embodiment of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So do we need to go talk to him with everyone else, or do we still here drink bubbly?
Well, I guess if we're going to do what we were supposed to do, then we should talk to him, but I wouldn't mind sitting and talking to you longer.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, let's see. What is your favorite color?
I can't see.
You know, so black?
Yeah. It's nice.
It matches your name, Master of Darkness.
Yeah.
So black is an excellent color for you. Um,
I've been told I'm wearing all black.
you are with your cloak. It's very fitting.
Thank you. I like to use it to disappear.
You can really disappear.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
I've been training my whole life.
Not as you should. I've been training my whole life too, but mine is to be a ruler of my country one day. Are you going to be ruler of yours?
I hope not.
You hope not. Why not? Are you not? You have good leadership tendencies.
Oh, I'm a mouse.
And what's so hard about that? Just because you are small and a mouse does not mean you cannot be great things.
That's very kind of you, but
If you're going to say something bad about yourself, you better stop.
well, if you meet most of the royalty around here, they're pretty human.
Well, you know what? Maybe you can change that. We can get you your own country. How hard is it to start your own country? It can't be that hard. All you have to do is take a spot and claim it.
Well, I mean, not to be forward or anything, but if you need help running your country,
Oh, you know,
I could go with you.
it would be so fun. We'd have so many fun times together and not have toxic masculinity and just have bubblies.
Yeah, just bubblies. We could learn how to make bubblies.
It'd be so fun.
I think so.
Well, we've had our talk, so should we go see this Gaston now?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. I go round up everybody.
Okay. Was there anyone like away from the rest of the group during this, or you were all kind of in the same general area? I guess I'll say, was there anyone who kind of wasn't with the rest of the group?
I don't know. I think most of them were at the bar.
I don't know if you came, did people, I assumed people were coming back for the bar and ending up somewhere in the general area that Zephyr went and sat, because a lot of you were saying you were going to go sit.
Then I'm going to assume we were all fairly spaced together.
Okay. So I'm assuming if Anastasia is coming over to you guys and rounding you up, you're all heading over to where you can see Gaston kind of holding court. There's not any like fear there. It's not like it's more people sucking up to him. Very clearly people sucking up to him, and people genuinely seem to think he's great, but it's a lot of men. Um, I'm not gonna be able to overcome your stereotypes you have about him, unfortunately. I think I'm stuck a little bit. So when you guys walk over, you definitely all, I mean, I would say he doesn't, not in a rude way, he probably doesn't notice the mice unless the mice like do something to get the attention because, you know, it's a tavern and they're small. He definitely does a once over of he definitely does a once over of everyone. And there's definitely also like there's a like checking out like who are these people, and then there's kind of a second glance at everyone that's a little bit of like checking out these people.
Katie, I have a weird question.
Is he hot though?
Yeah.
That was not my question.
I'll answer Joey's question first, and then yes, he is. He is definitely. I would say if you're thinking of a cliche Gaston from the movie, he's not. It's clearly he is very, very muscular. It's a little less like worryingly muscular from the movie. Looks a little bit less like he's gonna fall over if he steps wrong because he's.
Is it more like Luke Evans Gaston, like live action Gaston? Yes. That was also not my question, but
it's a little more of that. He looks a little more like he just, you know, works out. And he does have a very, very nice smile and a good face, and he has very pretty hair. Um, he does have like the long lustrous hair, and it is like pulled back. But you can tell like it's the end of the day, and like it's not stayed in the ponytail. So he's got some of his little bits coming out. He's got little tendrils.
You know
And
that
he is
oh God, he's hot face. That's what Mal's making right now.
valid, valid. Um, he's also clearly he's not like plastered, but like any of you who've literally ever gone drinking ever, you can tell that like he's definitely had a few. Seb, what was your question?
Um, because I can't remember shit about Gaston's backstory. Um, one of my background things is that like I have military rank and can recognize other soldiers, and soldiers
Oh,
recognize
okay.
me. So I was wondering if Gaston had a military history or not because I couldn't remember.
I mean, as with all of these characters, who knows in what version, but here, no, he does not. It's really clear that I think with a soldier's eye, there's no question. Like this may be someone who is athletic, but
Sloppy,
he's
got
not
it.
that kind of discipline. Does not look like that.
So when he gave us the second look over, was it sort of the look over of I'm assessing to see if these people pose an issue to me, or is it just, there's women in here, they might be hot?
Oh, it's everyone regardless of gender, and it's like the first look is like, who are you? I don't know you, and I should know everyone in here. And the second look is like, let me enjoy this. Like, let me enjoy looking at all of you because you all have nice things about you.
Just at a quick glance, Z having just she's trained as semi-military, I guess you could say, not to the extent that Leo is, I'm sure, but she's been trained to fight and whatnot. Does he seem like he definitely knows what he's doing, or does he look like someone who just bodybuilds and thinks he knows what he's doing in a fight? She would be assessing him while he's assessing her, and she's not hiding the fact.
I'm gonna make you make a perception check for that because there's not any obvious thing happening right now that would show you whether he could be good in a fight.
She would be looking for little things like, okay, if, just to give you an idea of what she's looking for, like someone who's always ready for a fight. Does he have like a knife in his boot? Does he have like, if he's a hunter, he probably has a knife, but is it somewhere where it's easily accessible if he were to, say, get jumped? Does he look like he's completely relaxed, or does he look like he's maybe always keeping one eye open for? That's the kind of thing she's looking for.
I see what you're asking.
And I will make my roll. Cool. What is this? Perception or insight?
Given what you just told me, you can do whichever one's higher.
Okay, then that is a 17.
Okay. He definitely looks like completely relaxed. This is his domain, and he knows that he is totally safe here and he doesn't have to worry about a goddamn thing. He's totally relaxed. You do see, I would say you can see like this is not all just for show. Um, I don't think he would have his crossbow on his back, but maybe it's like leaning against his big chair. And it looks clearly like used. It's in very good shape, but it's clearly like regularly used. His boots, same thing, clearly regularly used. They're well taken care of, but like they still have some mud on them. It's clear that but he's right now. If you were trying to assess whether like if I got him right now, would he do anything? Like he looks relaxed. You don't see any weapons on him. He does not look like a scrapper at
Okay.
all.
That's what she was looking for.
Anyone else have any like immediate, because he's gonna say something, but does anyone else have any like immediate like assessments they're trying to make? Okay. So after he gives you kind of a, and he's not trying to hide it either, so that's why I'm telling you what kind of look it is. He is very obviously being like, and another hot person, and another hot person, like just chill as fuck about it. And he's got like the classic Gaston stance that I always picture, at least myself, of like kind of like one leg half up over the side of the chair and like leaning with his elbow up. Um, Welcome to the Handsome Hunter. I don't recognize any of those faces. Who would you be?
Hello, I am Anastasia, princess of I don't think I ever named my kingdom. Uh, this is what improv is. Think something.
On the spot. You can think about it later. It's all
Okay.
good. Princess of insert here later. You definitely see like again, he doesn't hide his facial expressions. He has a moment of like an oh shit face of like princess at the word princess. Um, and there's kind of like a he kind of but you're clearly just like you're not giving him a look like stand up now, young man, and bow to me. So he's just
No.
like, okay. And he like kind of shakes it off, acts like it's no big deal.
And
Anyone else speak up?
these are my traveling companions. Who goes first in the name list?
Z will just nod at him and be like, I'm Zephyr. And it's a very just sort of like, I see you kind of nod, not like she's also not hiding her facial expressions. It's very much just like a
I'm gonna say, rather than making you all do the thing that I've made you do already multiple times in this campaign, and you unfortunately probably do it many times, where someone goes, "Who are you?" and you all feel the need to introduce. I think he's gonna cut you off there, and he goes, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, but more important than that, who the hell are all of you?" There's no like, I hope I portray that right. There's no like cutting of that. It's more like genuine confusion. I don't think I've had anyone walk in here and I don't even know how long that I didn't already know their face, if not their name. And you're not exactly kind of glance around and then glance at specifically at those first two who spoke of Anastasia being a princess and Zay looking like Zay does with the outfit. I don't mean to offend, but you don't exactly fit in here. Where are you from?
many places.
You can't just ask people where they're
Dramatically
from.
rolls his eyes. Sorry, what did you say?
You can't just ask people where they're from, Gaston.
Somebody does what he fucking wants. Like, he dramatically rolls his eyes at Zay's comment, like, oh, yeah. Very, very impressive. I was more trying to understand because I like to stay around here, but I have traveled somewhat, and you don't really. I've never seen anyone dressed like you, and I'm pretty sure I know all the kingdoms around here, and that's not one of them.
Oh, it's not. I got magically transported here.
And it's just like a does not compute face on him for a second of like, the fuck is this chick saying? By who?
By the fairy godmother.
Oh.
Yes. I know I'm still
Oh,
kind
well,
of
that
it's still weird to me too.
all right. Well, this is This is a new one for me, but the more the merrier. We're happy to have you here. I did notice that you, well, approached me as a group. I don't know if, I don't know if you were just coming over and introduced yourself, but seemed like you wanted something.
Yes, we heard that. What? I missed it.
It's just the chat. It's always the chat.
Okay.
If you see me crack up, it's the
I was
chat.
about to say I missed it. Uh, well, we were told to come here because you slayed the crocodile. Yes?
Oh, yes. Did you come to hear that story? Oh, that's a good one. I don't mind telling it again for everyone. And you see, like, he kind of raises his voice just a little bit. And the people that had kind of like, they weren't like ignoring, but were deliberately trying to act cool and not like in your business and were kind of like doing their own conversations. They all kind of like turned back in, like, oh, hey, that's our cue. And he's like, I'd be happy to tell that one again. You even have a couple people being like, oh, yeah, well, I love that one. Tell it again. Yeah, I feel the need to say, this is entirely a bar of humans. So while Triss's outfit and demeanor fits this entire crowd very well, her color does not. You have so far seen no other humanoids that are you have seen no other humanoids that are another color so far. So I'm just like, isn't she pink? But the vibe fits the best for sure. And the outfit and all of that. I love how I interrupted myself there. What did I just say?
You were doing the story. Everybody was gathering around.
So as long as no one interrupts, he's gonna launch into this story. So, heard about this vicious creature that was haunting poor old Captain Hook. And it's literally to the point where like you can see that on those kind of story moments like that, like some of them react in a way that it's like they've rehearsed it almost. They've done it so many times where they're like, oh yeah, poor old Hook, you know that guy. It looks almost choreographed. It's ridiculous. He'd even put out a bounty for it. Well, no, it was anyone's guess if he'd actually pay up when the time came. Now, I have a rule that I don't hunt anything that can talk. Not much turns my stomach, but having my prey talk to me, ugh. So I had to get close to the beast first, which only made it that much more dangerous. I put some bait where it had been last sighted. I hid near enough to hear the hulking thing if it approached. Once I could hear the terrible sound of its snapping up the meat, I crept close. Not easy for a man of my hulking size. Um, he pauses for a second, gives the full flex, and gets like a couple reactions from the others. To be fair, impressive muscles, but he's also being fucking ridiculous.
This is the face D is making.
He flexes, and Leo takes a shot from his flask.
Mal is
Valid.
very red.
Gaston is 100% not noticing any of you any anymore. He is completely engrossed in his own storytelling. And if he hears anything, it's like the reactions of the crowd that he's used to hearing at each of these story beats. Once I got close, I lined up a shot. Then I yelled, "Stop!" To my delight, the beast snarled and roared at me instead of responding with words. I took the opportunity and fired right into the beast's mouth. He threnched around for a moment, falling down dead. And he gets he gets a full like applause break from the others. Like, oh, Gaston, oh, another good one for the books. Thank you. It was a pretty good one. I was pretty proud of that shot.
So Kier is listening through Z, and he wants to insight check Gaston how much of this is bullshit and how much of this is real.
Okay. So I'm assuming that this is like he asks Zay, who then makes their own assessment.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, hold on. I'm gonna text you something in chat real quick, in channel real quick. They're sharing.
We're gonna see if I guessed correctly what you're about to type. I think I might have.
Probably.
And does that require being in the room?
He can do it through her, but that's
Okay.
why it's surface. Basically, it's just a can she gauge if any of this is bullshit?
Okay. So there is so much theatrics going on here, but if you're like, so I'm assuming this is like kind of almost like reading intentions. How to put this? If someone was telling,
You know
that's
how
not necessarily the case, but let's say
telling
someone
you
was,
a story and you're like, okay, this probably happened, but did it really happen that way?
well, my question is, if someone, let's say you were dealing with someone who's completely deluded and like had hallucinations, but they believe they were real, would
If he
this
believes,
mind touch show you?
if he yeah, no, like if, okay, I see what you're asking. No, if Gaston truly believes that this is how it happened, Kier would not pick up on, say, the deception. So if
So there is no deception happening. There's absolutely theatrics happening. You can tell from the way he's speaking, he's being theatrical, but there's no deception happening here. He's not making any of this up.
okay. So he can't tell whether it's just Gaston believes his own story or if it actually happened that way.
I will grant you that just by speaking to him and being around him, he doesn't seem like he's like completely deluded.
Okay.
So if he's believing his own lie, he's only believing like the theatrics of it.
Okay,
It
that
at least closely happened to what he's saying.
Okay. Okay.
It was at least close. He's not like making anything up. So after he tells this story, he has again kind of forgot that you existed, not like in a rude way, but just like, he's turned to his friends and they're, cheering him on, and he's kind of gone back to bullshitting with his friends. And so he loses track of what he's doing to bullshit with his friends. Kier just walks quietly in, does that, walks quietly out. Yeah. God.
Kier wouldn't come in unless there was a fight.
Valid.
Well, that was a great story. And what else are we supposed to be doing here other than what is the quest?
I'm gonna throw you a lie. He hears you, pretty princess, saying that was a great story, and he's like, "Oh, thank you," but it's not just a story, I mean, look over there. Uh, you can see the fruits of my labors. And you glance, he's pointing over at one of the kind of rows that has like some armor and some weapons on display. And you can see, even from here, you need to get closer to know more. You can see something that looks like armor that is clearly some kind of crocodile-ish.
Oh my God, he crocodile persists a crocodile. Damn.
So if you want to go over and take a look.
Sure, why not? I'm gonna go look at it.
So did Hook actually pay the bounty?
Ooh,
Oh,
good question.
so I'm going to assume that Anastasia goes over there and Zay stayed and
Oh yeah.
got that
He wants
response.
to know if Hook actually
Oh,
paid.
that old coot. I don't love dealing with him. So to be honest, after I had this armor made, I that was enough for me. I didn't bother to go try to get anything out of him. You never know if it just lead to a fight with him, and I couldn't be bothered.
He does seem like a bit of a fop.
Mm, that's a good word for him. I like that word. So Anastasia, you get over to the armor. It's hanging on the wall, and it is certainly interesting. The breastplate and pauldrons are clearly made from like the actual leathery hide of the crocodile with the kind of scales and all that on it. The helmet includes much of the alligator's actual head. Its jaws, teeth, and snout like protrude from it like a visor. So like the visor is the top jaw, and then the bottom jaw is like below the mouth. Um, it's hard to decide whether it's fearsome or deeply silly. Uh, Whichever you feel about it probably would depend on how scary you find crocodiles. If you find crocodiles scary, it might look a little bit scary. If you don't find crocodiles that scary, you might be able to see how kind of silly it looks.
I rolled, she sees it silly. Okay. Hey Mal, you know stuff about armor, right?
Yes, on occasion.
Come take a look at this very not silly, very scary, not looking like a Disney World hat armor.
Okay, Joy, I am gonna have you roll for this, but I'm gonna tell you stuff no matter what. But I kind of have an extra thing I'll tell you if you roll really well. Well, actually, I just realized I don't know this. What would be the right thing for it's your artificer skills? Do you have like a proficiency bonus for your artificer skills? I don't want to
Um,
keep searched crazy,
I
but
hold on.
I mean, if there's nothing obvious, you can just use investigation, and that's fine.
Yeah, I would say the only other thing besides like an investigation check would just be a straight intelligence check.
I do an investigation check. That's fine. And I'm going to give you something no matter what, but there's a kind of special thing I'll throw at you if you roll well. I also glanced at your sheet. I think you have like a +8 or something insane to investigation. So,
Sorry, I can't math today. Give me one second.
fine.
24.
Nice. I will give you the extra thing as well. So you look at this and you can tell that it's expertly made, not expertly designed. It looks silly. It does look a little bit silly, but like all of the work going into making it into armor, very well done. And I'm gonna go ahead and say you have seen Arabella's work a few times. Because you rolled so high, you got such a high score, I'm gonna say that you have a solid guess that this is Arabella's work, but you are surprised that she would design something that looks so stupid. That looks kind of silly. There would have been better ways to make a cool armor out of this. This looks kind of silly. So, given her clear skills, it seems weird that she would do that.
Can I put two and two together and assume that she made it look silly to make an ass out of him? Or
Um, I'm gonna say no because you're actually wrong, and I'll give you that you're wrong. There's a different reason. So,
oh, I can't wait to hear this. Yeah, so Mal's gonna like kind of first she's gonna get real close to the armor and like look at it from like a bunch of different angles, and then she's gonna like start poking at it a little bit. And then when she sees the helmet again, she's gonna be like, oh, Jesus. And then uh take a step back and look at
Gaston just
Gaston.
looked over at you because he knew people were probably going to go over there, and when he saw you poking at it, like he almost everyone else who was still around him, you see him almost start to say something like like when she's poking around, but she only does it for a second, so he ends up not. But then she does the whole like, oh my God, when she's the head again, and he like bellows across to her because it's like, I don't know, like let's say 30 feet away. So it's a little bit of a ways away. And he's kind of shouting over to her over the din of like, yes, it is fearsome, isn't it?
Oh, yes, very fearsome. Is this Arabella's work?
You know, Arabella. Yes, I love working with her. She is quite a genius with these things. When I told her I wanted the head on the helmet, she did give me a bit of a look, but I think it turned out wonderful. And it's so amazing because then I also got it enchanted. So even though, I mean, you can tell that wouldn't quite fit on me, if I choose to wear it, it'll fit itself to me. It's amazing what they can do.
She's definitely like the look on her face as she's like listening to him talk, and then like it goes from like what the fuck is wrong with him to like, oh God, he's so hot though. Like, what do I do? So she's just kind.
Are you trying? Is Mal trying to hide this?
No, she has no poker face whatsoever.
Okay. Well, then I'm not going to make him insight check that he clocks it then. Um,
She kind of just like pushes her glasses up onto the bridge of her nose, clears her throat. Well, personally, I wouldn't have done it this way, but if that's the way you like it, I guess it's the good way.
I'm anyone who wants to. I guess the mice can't because this is a visual cue. Anyone who wants to, who is over by Gaston, if you want to roll insight. Actually, I'll let you do insight or perception, whichever is higher for you.
19.
19.
Yeah, I'd say anyone like over 15 with
Dirty
it.
20.
You see, what'd you get now?
Dirty 20.
Oh, okay. I wasn't gonna let you have it because you're further away, but if you got a dirty 20, I'll let you have it. Although I don't know if Mal would recognize it. You'll have to decide character-wise if Mal would get this. Uh, Gaston clocks it, and you can see him clock it, and you can see him just like smirk the hell of it and like focus his attention on her. And he barely hears what she says. It's just like in like, oh, I see you mode, and barely hears what she actually says. It's like, oh, why don't you come over here and tell me about it?
Um, all right. Well, what do you want to
I'm
know?
actually gonna say that as you are you walking back over there, he's gonna pat they're very wide like armrests, and he's kind of like leaning over on one of them. He's gonna pat the other one as you walk over, like
The other armrest?
yeah. They're
Okay.
they're really wide. Like you could sit on it.
Okay, yeah, Mal is going to like have this panicked look on her face and like look to Anastasia, look to Z. Not that, I would change anything, but then she like slowly walks over to him, like kind of almost trips, and then like catches herself and like smooths her skirt down, and then like does a little like looks down at the armrest and like does a little like wiggle to make sure that her ass will actually fit on it. Like not a sexy wiggle, just like a, oh God, my butt is too big for this. I'm very chunky. And then like sits down with her hands folded in her lap, looking very like not uncomfortable, but like this is a novel social situation and I don't know what to do with it.
So he's kind of leaning on the other side, and when you sit, and he just I'm not even making anyone roll for this. As she comes over, he's just like, nice. nice, as she comes over and sits. And then he does this slowly. So if you want to interrupt him, you can. But he very deliberately, slowly kind of transition his posture. So he's leaning more towards you so that he would have like an arm, like not on you, but resting behind you. You could say that it would help you so that if you lose your balance, he would catch you. But like he's also kind of getting in your space.
Um, she doesn't move. She's just kind of like staring at him as he comes closer and then like just doesn't like she has no social skills. She doesn't know how to behave around people. So she's kind of just like, why are you looking at me like that? Is there something on my face?
No, sweetheart. I was just hoping you tell me what you would have done for the armor.
Oh, right. Well, for start, with the helmet, I would have made it smaller. You're a larger target with the face. Although, I suppose if you're working from afar, then it could be scary to some people and might, yes. So, that is my biggest problem with the armor. I'm just surprised that Arabella is worked something out this way.
I can be persuasive when I need to. Um, he he like has a clear moment of thought, smiles, and he just kind of like he stays like as close in as he can, still kind of keeping his focus on you because he knows exactly where it is. He reaches over the side to the other side and grabs his crossbow. And is like shuffle like brings it over to you with like the non-pointy end, the side you would not, the side you would load the arrow into. And is kind of like clearly he's like handing it off to you to let you look at it. Um, uh, this is my prized one. Arabella didn't make this one, but she did make some improvements on it. It's this is a little bit of my baby. What do you think?
Katie, I have two questions for you. Um,
Yeah,
is it a like heavy crossbow or is it a light crossbow?
heavy crossbow.
While Mal is looking at it, can Z kind of lean in and then cast detect magic on it? She wants to see if it's enchanted.
Yeah, no, and I'm not gonna make you roll like deception or anything for it because even if someone saw you, like no one would be weirded out. You're not doing anything that would be inappropriate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lights up. It's clearly enchanted. It's clearly been enchanted.
Can she tell if it's been in like how it's been enchanted?
Does detect magic do that?
I don't think so. I don't know. Hold on.
Detect magic gives you the school of magic, whether it's enchanted and what school of
Oh,
magic it is.
Yeah.
okay. Oh, shit. Um,
She is specifically looking to see if it has been enchanted to help him hit his mark. Like, if it may not be that specific, but she's basically looking to basically see is this has he been has it been enchanted to help him? Even if
um,
that's just the assumption that she'll make. Anything to give her that assumption.
I think okay. This is me riffing based on the character. So I'm gonna say I don't know how to take magic perfectly works. New DM, but I'm gonna say that actually it's not that the whole thing lights up. Um, it's there's like words carved into it that light up. That are the enchantment. Um, and the words just say strong and steady. So
She
it
will
not I'm also I think I will say insight wise He's
I mean,
got an
I'll happily
ego,
roll
so.
insight. I'll happily roll insight if you'd prefer that.
Okay, to give you more roll insight, I will tell you the strong and steady thing lights up.
All right, so
That's
strong
just
and
detect
steady
magic.
lights
That's fine.
up. Sight. Oh, 19.
Okay. He's got too much of an ego to cheat. Anything that was like cheating, no way. He's not going to do that. He's going to beat you the fuck up fair and square. But, giving him a slight advantage, he'll take. So, maybe it's a little easier to hold steady. Maybe the shot goes a little bit stronger than it could with the mechanism usually. But it's not enchanted to make the shot for him. He can't do it blind and just, oh, look, it hit because it's enchanted to do it.
Okay, that actually does better him in her eyes slightly.
Okay, so Mal, you were looking at it. I'm not going to make you roll unless you really want to examine it to find every detail. I will tell you based on your own experience as an artificer that this is clearly very well made. It's clearly very well used and taken care of. I would say based on your experience, you can also probably tell that it is enchanted, that you can see that saying as well as strong and steady. Even if it's not lighting up because you didn't do a spell, you're like, that seems like that was the mark that was enchanted. Yeah. Unless you have other questions, that's kind of what you get.
Do have another question.
Okay.
How accessible is a crossbow bolt to me right now?
Do you can both crossbow bolts on you?
I would assume like a quiver of some kind.
Yeah, so I would say in the same spot on the other side of the chair that he pulled the crossbow from, he probably also has a quiver there with some crossbow bolts. So I don't think you could do it without being seen, but you could absolutely reach over there and get one. You'd have to reach over him.
Yeah, Mal is going to like spot the quiver and then reach over and grab one. Still totally oblivious.
Just to be clear, that until he's sitting here, you're sitting here, you're leaning all the way over him.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Very inappropriate face crosses Gaston's face as she does this. He's not good at hiding things, so I'm not even gonna roll for him because he's not a good liar.
Yeah,
well, not good liar. He's not gonna be. He can't play poker. He doesn't have a good poker face. Little lurid expression there as this very curvy, pretty girl leans across his lap. So you get a crossbow bolt. What do you do then?
I'm going to take the crossbow and load the bolt. And is there a dartboard or a empty?
Before you get a chance to aim, his hand covers yours on the bolt. And he's just like, sweetheart, what are you doing?
Testing the accuracy of your crossbow? What does it look like I'm doing?
And he leans in a little bit more and is making very, very direct eye contact with you and says, can I trust you?
Yes, I happen to be a very good shot.
And some of the guys have noticed, it's not like everything stopped to look at you, but a few of those guys who were making all the hoots and hollers next to him, they have noticed that crossbow was now loaded. And he kind of just makes a small little gesture with his face towards them. And you can see them kind of they don't just relax and go back to what they were doing, but they're clearly not going to try to stop you. They're just kind of watching. They've kind of just untensed a bit. and he keeps his hand in yours for a second, and he puts his other hand underneath the bottom of the crossbow and turns it with you, like helps you turn it, and aims it at like a dartboard that's over near the bar. That there seems to be a relatively clear path to shoot it towards, and he's like, go ahead, sweetheart. Why don't you try with that?
Do you want me to roll like dex?
Do you have crossbow proficiency?
Let me check. That's a good question.
I can't hear you, Seb. I see you trying to talk, but I can't hear you.
Um, I have light crossbow proficiency.
Okay. Um, what? So this would be like an attack roll, basically, right? And so you'd add your regular. Okay. Um, I'll let you add half of your proficiency modifier to it.
That's gonna be a 14.
Okay. Um, I'll say like it just barely hits the target. It's not like you're making a crazy trick shot. So it hits the board, but it certainly doesn't hit the bullseye. Um, so he let go of you, obviously, before you actually shot. He's letting you actually do it. Um, it does thud pretty resoundingly. Um, what's your strength?
That's gonna be an 11, so a +0.
So I would say that like it definitely thuds more than you expect. Um, given that you probably couldn't pull it back all the way. Obviously not like he would be able to. You can't pull it back the same way he does. With an 11 strength, probably not. But yeah, and it's clear that he's not like, oh my God, a girl shot a bow. He's not like blown away, but he is like pleasantly surprised, clearly, that you did decently. Um, Not bad, sweetheart. Looks like you do know how to use a bow.
Yes, well, mine is much smaller, and if I had used that, I would have hit the bullseye.
Well, sometime you'll have to bring yours with you and show me.
Um, yes. Perhaps sometimes I will do that. Sometime I will do that.
Are you all done watching the flirting?
I can't see.
Listening to the flirting? Smelling the
I hope not.
I don't like that.
I'm actually genuinely really curious if any of you have like, would any of your characters have like a strong reaction to this of any sort? I know Milo would have. It's really sad that Milo and Callie isn't here for this.
Z would be watching Mal with complete approval. Like she approves of all of this.
I want Anastasia to be watching Milo. Just because she's
You
like,
have to retcon that in. We're gonna have to retcon in some Milo reaction there. Just silently fuming. I don't know if I can have it.
so what all are we supposed to be doing here?
you're looking for something to help you when if you have to take on Hook.
Okay. And keep flirting with him. Let us to get him to give us either the armor or the crossbow. Keep flirting. Push out your tits. Tits up. Tits up.
I don't think either one of those things will help us with Hook.
It might.
I mean, Hook is pretty scared of crocodiles.
Is there an area near Mall that a little mouse could go where Gaston won't necessarily see him?
He's pretty distracted, so yeah, probably. What are you trying to do?
I think Chauncey is just going to go nearby and just go, just so you know, I'm here. I don't want to startle you. But since we're here to try and find something that would help us against Hook, he does have quite a fear of crocodiles, and since you seem to be getting on quite well with our friend Gaston here, I would perchance suggest trying to borrow this armor from him. Maybe convincing him with a little charm or knocking him out, whichever.
Jeez. If you weren't a mouse, this would be such a problem, but I'm going to give it to you because you're a mouse. I'm going to let you have it because you're a mouse and he's distracted, but like anyone else, you're like, what, a foot from him saying that?
He's just like, I mean, he could be like in her hair behind her. Like,
yeah, that's what I was assuming. He's on the side that Gaston is not, and he's just like here in her hair.
Yeah.
So he's basically whispered that directly into her ear.
Which is why he started with, just so you know, I'm here. Don't want to startle you.
Please unmute. Thank you. Mal is like as soon as she hears him, she kind of like tenses up and like she's listening, but she also doesn't want this fucking mouse on her. So she's like trying to mask that by like
she's visibly tense. And is she visibly tense?
Not tense so much as like she's suddenly sitting up straighter.
Okay. I'm going to have you roll deception.
Okay. Good luck to me.
Just to see how much Gaston notices.
Does it help that I am attempting a measure of subterfuge by like reaching over and like patting his shoulder? Or not like patting it, but putting my hand on his shoulder so I can like lean in to as if I'm going to whisper to him.
Okay. Yes, it does. Because I was having you roll deception because how to put this? That lets him know that you're not tensing up because of him.
Mm-hmm.
So, so now you are not necessarily, how to put this? Yes, I still want you to roll to see whether he's like, oh my God, she has a mouse in her hair. But he's not going to be like, oh shit, she's upset. I'm stepping away now. So go ahead and roll deception for me still. But you can have, I'm lowering the DC in my head.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. 18.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So you've made it clear enough with like putting your hand on him, everything that he's not concerned. Even if he notices you tense up a little bit, he's assuming everything's fine because you're still communicating you're okay with this, and he doesn't see enough to have any idea that there's a mouse there.
Yes, so she is going to like lean closer and like look at him in as much as that her social awkwardness will allow her to, and be like, would you be opposed to my tinkering with the suit a little bit? Arabella did a very good job, but I think that there are some improvements I could make to it if you would let me.
Hmm. What are you thinking?
Well, um, I'm thinking that perhaps I could make the armor a little stronger, more durable without making it heavy. There are quite a few things that I can do. So really, the world's your oyster.
Well, who am I to deny you a chance to look at that armor and improve it? Um, how long do you think it would take?
Well, depends what I'm doing with it, but usually it's maybe a few hours.
Well, I mean, do you, if you, uh, I know that Maurice always has tools. I don't know if you have tools with you, but I'm happy to let you tinker if it makes you happy.
Yes, that would make me very happy. Would you mind if I take it off the premises to a workshop? Because I do have tools. However, I think that there would be too much beer here for me to do what I need to do.
I mean, most of the things I own end up smelling like beer at some point, but that's fair. I got a question for you, Joey. How much are you lying here?
Um, no. No, I mean, I'm not lying. I'm just like, um, I will do these things. I'm just like, not being like I'm technically omitting details by like
Okay,
not telling him like, hey, I'm stealing this for a minute so we can go kill Hook.
okay. Um, if at some point you start to, I guess, okay, we'll continue the conversation. I'll see if at some point I have to have you roll deception. You don't need to now. Um, where's your workshop? I mean, if all of you are from somewhere else, uh, where do you have your things?
Maurice has been kind enough to lend me his workshop for some larger projects.
Is that a lie? That's kind of a lie.
I the larger projects part is definitely a lie. Maurice, I remember Maurice being like, "Hey, if you want to fix this shit, you're more than welcome to." But
That's true. He did say that. Okay. Um, well, all right. Bring it back by tomorrow night. Maybe you could show me your light crossbow skills then.
yes, that seems like fair trade. Was there anything in particular you wanted me to do to the suit?
Hmm. I'll be honest with you. It's not one I really plan on wearing very often. Doesn't really suit my style. Like you said, I attack from afar, and well, I don't really need to scare people very often. I don't want to scare my prey before I get too close. Um, anything that can make it look more intimidating.
Oh, so some spikes, perhaps.
Oh, I like your thinking. Yes, this is a showpiece for me. I like to have it up on the wall and know that if I want to put it on and show off to the people here that I can, but it's mostly for people to look at and enjoy while they're here. Yes, I like that idea.
Well, since it's a showpiece, I'll also make sure that it comes back nice, shiny, polished for you. How does that sound? And she like pats him on the arm and then gets distracted. My, those are big.
Yes, they are.
Yes, well, I better get back to my friends and get to work then.
Well, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Oh yes, me too. Bye then.
That's where, if you're lying about bringing it back tomorrow night, I need you to make a deception check.
Um, I Is it a lie if I don't know if I'm bringing it back? If I am in earnest trying to bring it back?
I think so, but I think that it makes the lie a little easier to tell, so I'll kind of lower the DC in my head a bit, but I still want you to roll deception. The lie right now is more like you're pretending to be more confident than you are about it.
Is a 15.
Okay, so I'll see if you kind of like pauses for a second, but I think anything he sees that would make him question whether you're being confident about this, he could play off his nerves. He's not blind. He can see that he makes you nervous. So I think it'd be pretty easy for him to assume that any question about that is just nerves. Okay. The armor itself, because it's okay, it's just a top, like it's just the breastplate, the pauldrons, the helmet. So it's not like a full piece. And obviously then it's leather. So I any of you I think could carry it. Those of you with smaller strength score. Okay, any of the humanoids can probably carry it.
Leo will volunteer for
So
politeness.
I think Gaston would get up and like get it and kind of bring it over to you and then kind of give you a look and be like, I'm not sure if you should be the one carrying it. And he kind of turns around and glances at all of you, and I'm assuming Leo then kind of offers, and so he hands it to him. You are yeah, Hales, I did make the joke, so you're welcome. You're welcome. I make that joke in chat. Okay, so are you all Mal has made plans. Is anyone else doing anything or are you heading out?
After dealing with Gaston, Z definitely needs a shot of something stronger than wine.
Mal also needs a shot.
Party shots? Party shots. Everybody, let's get a party shot.
Leo just following behind with an armful of armor, looking distinctly uncomfortable.
Oh, it's okay. If you don't have your hands free, I can just shot it for you.
So
How tall is she? Can she reach?
I mean, she can try. Ready? What?
So, are you actually heading for Maurice's then, I'm assuming?
I'm just following everybody else is going.
Where are we headed?
We're definitely going to plan after we get out of the bar.
Valid. I want you to figure out where you're going, and then we're going to take a break. Because to drop the curtain for a second, you just avoided the last third of the session.
Oh.
So I got to see where you're going so I can figure out what you're doing.
I think that we should go to Maurice's if only so that Gaston doesn't check on us and not find us there.
Yeah, that sounds valid.
You've been traveling most of the day, so it is definitely evening. It's not like the middle of the night, so it's not like you're going to wake him up. He's going to be in his PJs, but it is the evening. just so we're aware of time frame here. So we're heading to Maurice's.
Maybe drop them off and then drop it off and then go back to camp and we can start again in the morning.
Is camp close enough to like go to sleep there, or do we need to like crash at an inn nearby?
I would say if you just drop it off and only spend like, a few minutes at Maurice's, you don't hang out there for a while, I would say you could get back in time to sleep at the Lost Boys Tree.
Okay.
But she couldn't, I don't think Mal couldn't mess with the armor at Maurice's and then go to the tree. It would have to be a drop off to make it to the tree in time.
Do we really need to drop it off? Like, just take it with us. What's he
I
gonna
was just about to ask, are we just stopping in at Maurice's long enough to make sure we're not being followed and trailed and then taking the armor with us? Or are we actually leaving it behind?
Yeah, I don't actually have to go to Maurice's to do the thing. It would be better there, but I don't need it. Because I have my own tools, so yeah.
I was more worried about being tailed, so if we can make sure that that's not
Do a
happening.
drive-by.
Yeah, stop at Maurice's, make sure we're not being tailed, and then if anyone does ask us, well, why weren't you at Maurice's? We can just be like, Mal needed her tools, not Maurice's, for special work.
Okay. The other thing I want you to be thinking about as I'm trying to then say what are we going to do for the last third of session, on break, if you think of any character interactions you want to have, like some RP that needs to happen or you want to have happen with other PCs or with any NPCs that you've met. Well, I mean, if you want to stop by someone at Woodland Village, you can, but I'm assuming more like Althea, Becca the Tree, or someone like that. I guess Peter, although then I'd have to do Peter, and I don't have a Peter voice, but or any of the fairies or the Lost Boys, if there was any of that you wanted to deal with.
Z wants to scan her book.
Oh God! Damn it! Okay.
I mean, Chauncey has to go
okay.
check on Tinkerbell. So
what?
Chauncey has to go check on Tinkerbell.
Yay! Okay. We'll take like a 10 or 15 minute break, and I'm gonna frantically figure out what we're doing. All right. So the group has left the Handsome Hunter, and you said you were going to go to Maurice's briefly. So on the way there, are you looking for anything? It's not a far walk. You're essentially getting through the row of shop area and getting past that, and it's not too far past that. You were talking about like looking for a tail, seeing if you're being followed.
Yeah, Z will definitely Z and Kier will check to see, if they're being followed at all by anyone from the bar.
Okay, give me a perception check.
Perception. A 17. And Kier's his perception. Kier's is a 14, so 17 and 14.
Okay. You don't see anyone following you. The streets aren't completely deserted. It's the evening. Some people are, heading over to someone's house, heading to dinner, going to the Handsome Hunter. So there are, the streets aren't empty, but they're fairly quiet. You definitely get noticed by everyone you walk past because, again, you guys all, as a group especially, stick out in a variety of ways. But you don't see anyone like following you, and you don't see anyone that appears to have like left the Handsome Hunter to follow you. So then we get to Maurice's. Are we knocking on the door? He's definitely not. So I would say it's like dinner time-ish. So I would say that he's not like The shop is not open right now. So you'd have to probably knock. He's not just hanging out in the shop right now. Are we knocking at who? I don't know who's taking the lead, but are we knocking at? You basically have two options, and you could be knocking at the shop door or knocking at the front door. That's clearly more of a house door.
Do we actually want to go in, or do we just want to walk towards that way and then veer off?
I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
V would relay the fact that neither she nor Kier has picked up any kind of tail, like we're not being followed.
Back to the tree then?
Sounds like a plan.
So heading back to the tree, would get you into like, well, I mean, there's kids there, so bedtime. Like it's gonna be bedtime for the kids. Um, but it might not be bedtime for you guys, right? It's not the middle of the night for you. What?
They're not supervised. They don't have a bed. These are the Lost Boys. They don't have a bedtime.
Yeah, the thing about kids though is that they conk out at a certain hour. Especially when they sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's true. So it's not like it's going to be dead when you get back there, but it's definitely going to be quieter during the day. There are definitely some of them that are night owls that no one's making them go to bed, so they are still up. But by that point, a lot of them would be in bed. Are you beelining for anywhere specific? Are you separating? I'm trying to decide how I want to do the next thing. So Leo has the armor, correct?
Yeah.
Where are we taking it?
At the very least, Leo would drop the armor wherever Mal wants it dropped off, whether that's with Arabella or with her own stuff.
Yeah, those are your options, really, Joey. Would she take it to her own stuff? But Arabella also, anything that would have been at Maurice's, Arabella's has as well. Arabella has a full setup as well. So where would they take it?
I think that as long as there's like a surface to work on, then Mal can just take it to wherever she's like camped out. I think that she probably wouldn't want Arabella to see the suit of armor she worked on in another person's hands. So like, yeah, just gonna try to keep it on the down low, and because Mal has her own tools, so
Okay, that's fair. Okay. So as you are, I'm assuming you're mostly all like walking with them. As you guys are heading towards Mal's tent, you see for the first time someone you haven't before, who is an adult. In kind of like, I mean, obviously they're not like in lots, but kind of in the next open space next to where Mal is. There is kind of an empty area that appears to be something like a makeshift garden. It appears to have been like it's pretty clear this has not been set up by the Lost Boys, right? Like this is post cataclysm. This is someone has set this up here, and there is a beautiful young woman with pink and blue hair cascading down her shoulders, barely tied back with ribbons. She is kneeling in the dirt, like going between some of the different plants. She's wearing like a very pretty blouse with like a corset over it and this really long flowing dark green skirt. It almost covers her bare feet, but you can still see that she is barefoot out there. And I would say it's not like fully dark yet, so you can probably tell that she's crying.
Is this someone that the mice know?
Mm-hmm. You don't know who this is. This is Aurora.
Are we on good terms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yes.
Patrick will just immediately kind of walk in. Oh, Aurora, what are you crying for?
Um, he clearly like had no perception. Like you guys weren't stealthing, but she just had no perception. She was totally lost in her own little world. Um, and she, which color is Patrick?
Red.
Red. Okay. So then she'd be able to spot it quicker. So it takes her a second because she's not, expecting to be looking for a mouse size. And then spots Patrick. And she's like, clearly like, she's not trying to hide the fact that she's been crying, but she's trying to stop. Turns him, oh, I'm sorry. I know I'm being silly. It's just so strange to not be able to. This should feel right, and it just all feels wrong. I can't connect anymore.
Or was it the magic thing?
Yes. I would say that you would probably you would know she is a druid. Um this realm's version of a druid. I obviously it's not the same culture as like D&D druids. But the idea of like she's connected to the land. But yes, I spend so much of my time here with, and there's kind of like a regretful smile on her face, and she just kind of gestures at, and her hands are like covered in dirt. And you can see like a little pile of weeds haphazardly because like she's been gardening as best she can just physically.
I did not see the weeds.
Dang it. How many times? You should keep a counter. I need to start a counter of how many times I'll do that. She'll say it then. I think she'll probably gesture and then be like, "Oh, I've been trying my best. I have silly little pile of weeds over here, but I guess I didn't even realize how much I wasn't used to having to do it all by hand. I could connect in, and now it's just gone. I don't know how to do anything without it, and I don't know how to. I, no one said it yet, but what what are we gonna do when things stop growing?
At this point, Chauncey comes over and kind of like touches one of her fingers with his little paw. I know how you're feeling, Aurora. My magic is gone too, and I can't help people the same way I have been able to in the past. I can't heal the way you can't grow. But we can find other ways, non-magical ways to do these things. I can smell the dirt and the plants. You're making things grow still, even if it's in a different way.
I know, and it's very sweet of you to try to make me feel better. But you know as well as I do that if nothing gets fixed, there are going to be problems that we can't solve. I can pull some weeds, but I can't bring a flower back to life now. And you can keep the fairies comfortable, but you can't bring them back to what they were. And I just don't understand. And like for the first time you see some anger in it's been very pure sadness, but like she almost like she kind of balls up her fist and almost kind of like her hands are right next to the dirt, so it's not much of a pound, but like, oh my God, you don't see it. You hear a little pound of her being frustrated. I just don't understand what happened. How could I not? What could have done this? What could have kept and severed this?
Well, we don't know that, but and he kind of gestures to the rest of the group. These people are here to help us figure that out and bring the magic back.
And once again, you can tell she genuinely is noticing you for the first time. She had noticed the mice because they were talking to her, and now she's like, "Oh crap, there's people! Oh my God, okay, hi." Oh, oh, and she like scrambles up, somehow like gracefully while still clearly looking like feeling awkward, but she can't help but move gracefully, and she's like trying to brush off her skirt some. Oh, I'm sorry. I can assume that you're the ones that Althea brought to us. I haven't met you yet. Um, uh, I'm Aurora, as you probably heard. Um, uh, Hi.
Am I still holding the armor?
I'm going to say that's up to you. Did you stop and go over here, or did you continue and set the armor down and then join the group?
Leo's gonna kind of like go to give like a little like he can't wave, so he's going to go try to like slightly bow and almost lose his grip on everything and have to scramble to get it back into his arms. Like trying so hard to be polite, but just
he smiles, and you can almost hear like she lets out the tiniest bit of a giggle. I would say that draws attention as she notices what's in your hands. And just her face instantly changes. She still is like teary, but she's just like utter confusion. Do you have, and it's not full dark, but it's getting darker. Do you have a dead alligator?
Well, it was a dead alligator at some point, and now it is a suit.
Like she takes a second with that knowledge to like take it in and like, oh, that's what I'm looking at. That is a very strange thing.
he just kind of winces and goes, Gaston, and like turns to put it down.
And she just kind of nods. That does seem like the sort of thing he would have. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. She So Leo is going to the tent to drop that off and I presume come back.
Yeah, he's thoroughly embarrassed. He needs a second.
Mal, are you going with him to tell him where to put it?
Yes.
Okay. I think with the two of you leaving, she feels comfortable for a second to kind of turn back to Chauncey. And she turns and like opens her mouth to speak and then feels yes, I love it. Perfect. I love it. It's really very helpful. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've been working on it.
No, I'm like, I feel I'm not like trying to be ableist. I just keep forgetting. They're literally from the story, The Three Blind Mice, and yet I cannot. So Aurora turns back to talk to him and is like standing, and then clearly is like, "This is too weird," and like kneels down in the dirt, so she can be a little closer to him, and he doesn't have to look quite straight up. But she is speaking up loud enough that it like you can all hear her. She's not like, in fact, to the point where it's obvious she's letting all of you hear this. Like she's deliberately speaking loud enough for everyone to hear. Obviously not Leo and Mal because they've walked away for a second, but um uh um Chauncey, have you I don't know how your magic works because I know ours is different. Um I really am worried though because it seems like it's not just that I can't help, it's that things aren't growing as well. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. It's been so long since I discovered I could do this. But I do remember gardening without magic. And it seems like things aren't growing as well. And I'm really worried because if we all can't do magic, what if that means what if it's not just taken from us? What if it's taken from here?
From the land.
Yeah. I I don't know. I'm glad I saw you. I've been thinking about saying this to Althea, but I was scared to talk to her about it. It just made it too real, but I feel like someone probably I feel like there are other things we should check because if I'm right, I mean, I don't know if it's not just going to be the plants. Um, I'm really worried that like Grandmother Willow is gone. Um, I don't know how Althea is. 'Cause she'd be the one to know, right? I mean, this is what she does. So if I'm right, she'd be the one to tell me, and I'm really scared.
Well, we could go check on Grandmother Willow if you want.
But what if she's not there?
Well, then she's probably dead. And then he gets elbowed in this act by Chauncey, who's just, I'm sure she's still there. Whether or not she is herself is a question that is yet to be answered.
Z's gonna butt in real quick, having been listening to this and being that she is a mage. Um, just sort of be like, you said that you were hoping to find other ways to check and see if the magic is disappearing from the land. Have you any ideas on how or like what to look for?
I mean, Grandmother Willow was the other one I thought of, but I mean, there are things. She kind of like grimaces at Chauncey, like, I'm gonna try my best, but we both know this is weird. There are things that we all don't really understand. I mean, we don't know all of it. I think if we did, we'd have more answers right now. But places like Sanctuary and people, or I don't even know if I call her a person, but and entities like Grandmother Willow, they're just, I mean, even the fairies, they are magic. And if those things aren't working, then it's not just that. She kind of glances at her hands again. It's not just that I'm cut off. It's that there's nothing for me to be connected to.
When this explosion happened, was it just one explosion or were there like, and you can see her pause as she's trying to think about like how to explain it, drawing from her own experiences. Um, was it just the one event? Were there more events that followed, like aftershocks
Um,
that like
well, I I wasn't there. I was in the forest, so I didn't see all of this. But what I know from what's been shared with people who were closer to what happened, I mean, Peter, I don't know where he is right now, but I know Peter was there. Um, there, I mean, I think aftershocks is the right word. It was one explosion, but then it was like ripples of effects. Um,
I'm I'm going to gather that you're use a different type of magic than I do, but when the waves, if you will, or the ripples, did you feel it? And by that, I mean not necessarily like feel it the way that you might feel the earth tremor when there's uh, a landslide nearby, but like, and she again, she pauses as she's trying to like explain something like inside you.
I don't, I don't know if I know the answer to that. I think I could answer your question if I'd been thinking about it at the time, but I think I wasn't I wasn't within view of the castle, but my home my home is in the royal forest. So I was still pretty close by and everything shook, um, and the sky looked very strange and things continued to shake and everything was strange. I mean, I suppose what I noticed most was animals running, um, which meant I had to run the other way and see what was happening. But I wasn't thinking of myself at that point because I was scared about what had happened. So I don't know if I have an answer for you. Um,
How quickly did you realize that your magic was affected?
it was well, like I said, the animals were running. I mean, who can blame them? Um, I wasn't thinking of communicating with them because I knew that they needed to run, that they were scared, and me trying to talk to a scared rabbit as it runs away. I'm not going to get any information from them. Oh, should like kind of glances at you again. You're a very different look. I guess I should clarify. I mean animals that can't talk like you and I do, but I can sort of communicate with them. Not the same, but they can. And like her just face just falls again, and it's just like, yeah, she's. There's almost some similarity to Tinkerbell in her expressions in that you see her emotions like really strongly and really clearly. And her face just falls again. And she's like, well, I mean, I used to be able to, but I used to be able to get basic information from them, understand their emotions, and uh, get some kind of descriptions of what they'd seen, that sort of thing. But I knew it was pointless to try, so I wasn't even trying when they were running. But once the aftershocks were over, and I realized that the blast wasn't, I was going to have to get farther to see anything. There wasn't an explosion next to me. Um, that's when I tried to communicate with one of them, and I couldn't. And I wasn't sure at the time what that meant. I for all I knew, it was something that had happened to them, not to me. Um, but then I talked with Philippa and we were able to get more information and figure out what had happened.
I will note that like
And it was
she has pulled out like a journal and she is like shorthand writing down this information.
except for the in-universe note taker of the group.
She's conducting interviews now. So Philip, does she?
Philippa, she, um, yes. What
Does
about her?
does she have gifts the same as you?
Oh, no, she's not. Well, I mean, of course she can do the things that everyone can do, but um, she's not. She prefers her crossbow. Um, but she also found that, well, she's a very different person to me. So she communicates differently with them, but her connection with the animals seemed to be lost as well. Um,
And is it safe to assume that like this wasn't just like a temporary come and go thing? It just stopped and has stayed stopped.
yes. And that's why I'm so worried because, well, food has never been an issue here. No one ever goes hungry because you can conjure more.
You don't
But if we can't,
farm like normal farming?
yes, I mean, that's part of what I did. Although I suppose I focus more on the aesthetic side of it. I prefer my flowers, but um, anyone can farm and farm well. And if you need more, you can conjure some more, but you have to start from something. And so we farm, and then if more is needed, we conjure from that. But if we can't farm like we did, and we can't conjure more, I feel like we have a ticking clock here. And I know it's not tomorrow, probably not even next week, but I don't know when it is because no one keeps track of this. Because why would we?
This is dropping the curtain here. This is me asking, do we know how long ago this explosion was? Did Althea tell us how long it's been? I can't remember if
Oh
anyone
God.
asked how long it's been.
I need to sit down and make a timeline here. I think what we said when you arrived, it had been about a week.
Okay, so we're still a week out.
So, and it's been like
It's been a couple
2 or 3 days?
It's been like a week and a
Yeah.
half, maybe.
So probably about a week and a half now since the explosion.
Okay. Um, Z is gonna look at Aurora and just be like, has anyone been like consistently trying to conjure more to see how if they can continue to do it, how effective it's being? When you say conjure, and like you can see that she is absolutely switched into academic mode at the moment. When you say conjure, are you talking like you have a pumpkin seed and you can make that pumpkin seed grow into a pumpkin like within a matter of an hour? Like, is that what you mean by conjure?
Well, so she wouldn't have it though now. I was going to have her reach for flowers in her hair, which she would have, but she probably wouldn't have right now, given all the circumstances. Um, uh, well, I can, and anyone who gets good at it, can or is talented at it, can help something grow quicker. I don't know if I could give you a timetable for everything, but we can help it grow quicker, and grow well.
You see
But
her nodding. She's actually familiar with this type of magic.
but also if I grow one, I can make another.
Not familiar with that kind of magic.
Um, so I have to have something to copy, but
Copies
if
of
I have it to copy, I can copy it.
so
And obviously,
you currently can't. Are there others who still can?
no one that I know of. Oh, it's also, and she almost like you see her do this like this flick of her wrist, and she just stares at it, and there's like a baring of teeth moment of like. It's also common. Everyone could have a light when you need it, and no one can anymore.
Are we
Seeing
back yet?
seeing her do that, I have light as a cantrip.
I was
And
gonna do the same thing.
yeah, and I'm going to cast light as a cantrip to see if it works for me.
Are you just trying to have light in your hand?
Hold on a second here. You touch an object. Okay, I touch an object. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a pebble because this is what she does. And while holding that pebble, I'm going to cast light. Does the pebble light up?
Yes.
Does it light up immediately?
Yes, it does exactly the same thing that you would expect it to do.
And I don't feel any like tug or difficulty in doing this.
Tell me again where your magic comes from. Is it inherent in your blood, in your being?
Um, technically,
You're not a druid.
no, she's a sorcerer, and it is technically in her blood, yes.
Nothing. Everything seems exactly the same. You have no difference.
Okay. I'm trying to think of
And
how
you
to,
actually see her sniffle. Like she is a little bit devastated to watch you do that when she can't.
I'm going to extinguish it. I'm trying to think of how to explain this in universe from where she's from. They have something called mage sight where they can kind of see the magic around them. They have to invoke it, but like they can see the magic around them. So it's almost like if you think of like psychics that see auras.
Mm-mm. Okay. Okay.
And that's
interesting, and I can run with it. So are you doing mage sight just like it's just like the area around you?
um after she extinguishes the light, yes, she would try and invoke mage sight to see if she can see anything, with the understanding that because this is not her world, she understands this may not work in the same way.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about mage sight so that I understand it.
So if you think about in like the aspect of druid magic, it comes from everything around you and whatnot. When a mage invokes mage sight, they kind of see everything awash with like auras. So like if the tree is healthy, it would kind of have a faint aura of green around it. If something was sick, it would have like a reddish, muddy kind of look to it. If there's nothing there, like no magic, it would be blank. It would just look like she was looking at a tree.
Okay. 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 I can run with this. So, okay. So, and is there an area of effect here? Could you see this for everything up to your line of sight?
Um, yes, I mean, Yes and no. It depends on how strong the mage is. Given that we're still low level, it would probably just be in like her immediate area.
Okay. So I'm gonna make it like a radius. Okay.
Yes.
So this is what you see then. You can clearly see like the radius line. You are able to see where you don't see anything, and you're pretty
Mhm.
sure that doesn't mean that just the area around you has this. What you see, okay, what you see is like the ground and everything natural around you. Um, so I guess you're probably not close enough to the tree, but like the grass, everything around you that is natural. There is a faint glow that you can see pulsing slowly. Um, it's obviously it's reminiscent of a heartbeat, but it's clearly not a heartbeat because if someone's heart was going this slow, like we have a problem. Right? This is not really a heartbeat. But just lightly pulsing, but very slowly and very lightly. It is very dim. So I'm going to assume you've cast this spell before in your
Mhm.
own universe.
Mhm.
So with that knowledge of what things look like, whether it's, a different color, depending on what's happening, like there's a certain level of like kind of brightness of this spell, right?
Mhm.
If this is like 10% of what you would expect to see, it is very dim. Um, and you can see it in everything natural. Um, I guess I would even say it's like sparkles in the air, even. Like it's not just
Mhm.
misting your entire vision, but it's like you can see it's even the air that you are breathing. But it is so faint. Um, and let's see if I can paint this picture. Um, you can see like you can see the connections from the ground into the living things around you. You can see like little veins almost, right? There is no connection to like Aurora, who is kneeling in front of you, who's just been talking to Chauncey. No connection to her. She has no glow on her at all.
She has
Neither do
no.
the mice. Um, but all of your companions who are next to you, who have magic, which I think everyone in the party does to some level. All of them have their own aura. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm not going to make you all tell me what it is yet, but I would say that each of like, they all have a color to them. It's not the same very dim, just whitish light that is from this earth. Each of your companions have their own color and brightness to them that is clearly very distinct from the magic of this place.
Okay, she's just gonna be making notes and
But no one else see this. You're just like staring and note taking.
yeah, Z's just looking around. She's like, uh-huh, 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 okay, okay. And making notes in shorthand. Um and she's just gonna look at Aurora and just be like, well, we're gonna try and figure this out, but I definitely need to talk to more of the magic users around here.
Um, yes, I'm sure anyone who, well, like I said, I don't know of anyone who doesn't use magic. I know there are some people who don't for their own personal reasons, but if you can make light in your hand, why wouldn't you when you need it and you're in the dark? Um, so anyone can tell you something, but obviously you have people like, well, like I said, Philippa, she she isn't as hampered now. Whereas if you ask Althea, I'm sure she's as devastated as I am. So you'll get different information from people. Um,
If there's anything I've learned from the cataclysm that I have lived through, it's that more information is far better.
I haven't, I haven't, I don't know everything about what all of you have been up to, but is it true? It sounded like from what they were telling me that Hook is still using magic.
Well, that fop definitely has a magic item at the very least.
I
Unfortunately, we weren't able to get much closer than a very distant glance.
I don't understand what and once again you can see like the hands curling into fists again. I don't understand why he would be all right. I don't.
So,
He doesn't even, that's not even the only magic I know of with him is his ship. Why would he still be able to do it?
well, he has a magic item, and if Gaston's crossbow has anything to go by, it seems like enchanted items, at the very least, are still working. And as she's saying that out loud, she's making a note like, I just connected that piece. Um, so I don't know.
Wait. And she like literally starts to run away and then stops and just goes, just just 1 second. And she like sprints off. Um, and but like immediately comes sprinting back. You can kind of see where she has gone into a tent and then comes back out. Um, and she comes back out. Lowering the curtain for just 1 second. You shits are making me improv so fucking much right now, and I'm loving it, but also like, ah. She comes sprinting back out with the most gaudy fucking necklace you've ever seen in your life. You know those like chunky necklaces that like
It's a
over middle-aged
piece.
women wear? It's like one of those, and it's all like flowers and like different colors of roses. And it's ridiculous. Um, and she runs back out with it and says, I hadn't even thought of this. Let me try this. And she is holding on to this necklace for dear life. You can like see she's like her hand is white. She is gripping it so hard. And she holds on to it and she goes and she touches one of the flowers and closes her eyes. And nothing happens. And she just like throws it on the ground and is like hands in her hair, so frustrated.
Um, Z's gonna pick up the necklace and like look at it. Is detect magic? Is this a magical item?
Oh yeah, it's all of it's glowing completely.
Okay, so it's not the item.
Fauna, and she's like really struggling to get her words out. Fauna gave that to me when I was first learning about what I could do. And it should let me grow this flower. It should, and it's not.
I do understand how frustrating this is, and I promise we are trying to work through what's happening. And I do not mean to seem callous when I say that I am so sorry that your magic is not working, but this does give me at least an inkling of something to go on.
And she's still not looking at you. She's like staring daggers at the ground, but she like nods her head and like takes a moment to compose herself before she turns back to you finally. Um, I appreciate everything all of you are doing, especially since, well, as I understand it and as I can see from looking at you, it doesn't seem like you're from here. So I appreciate that all of you are helping. I feel like such a baby about this. I know, and she likes looking back at it. I know it's just a flower. but
Here,
it's what it means.
Kier's gonna walk up to her and just sort of nudge her with his nose, and in her mind, he's gonna hear, don't give up just yet. We'll figure it out.
I think she's gonna genuinely just start crying at that point. Like she's a stalker for an animal, and like an animal that she loves talking to her, and she's just like, um, I don't know this. I don't think she's thinking clear at this moment. So if Kira allows it, she's going to literally like throw her arms around
Yeah,
him.
he'll allow it. He'll allow it.
Okay. She's not really thinking about how she knows her connection with animals. So she's not really thinking about this is an otherworldly creature. And she's just sobbing for a
No,
second.
Kier kind of figured that would be the reaction. This is his sort of way of trying to make her feel better.
Oh,
So
oh
that she
God.
doesn't completely lose hope.
I love Zephyr so much. I can't even tell you. Like, oh my God. Um, so it definitely takes her another minute. Like she's full on crying. Um,
So
I'm
what
actually
are you doing while I make
okay.
another princess cry?
It's true. Two of them will be princesses. Well, yeah. Um, what this may seem like a strange question, but I'm going to throw to the rest of you. What are the rest of you doing? Are you standing awkwardly and watching this? Um, you're
Well, I'm not watching it.
I cannot see. Oh my God. Um, okay, how am I going to put this? I have something to end the session with. Do I have anyone that has something they specifically wanted to do or talk about before that? Cool. All right, so this is the final thing we're gonna have happen. So I'm gonna say she's still crying at this moment. Um, and another young woman emerges from the tree line near you, has been in the forest there next to the tree. She's got sharp features, bright eyes, short brown hair pinned tightly out of her face, a small crossbow on her back, and a sheath on her waist that is clearly holding a large hunting knife. Um, she's like striding with purposes, clearly has a mission, and then she hears the crying and turns and sees Aurora and just starts sprinting to her. Um, and Aurora hears this and turns just enough to see who it is and lets go of Kier and holds on to this young woman who, um, yeah, this young woman who holds back onto her and she's just crying on her. And there's a moment of her holding her where she looks at all of you like, what the fuck did you do? Um, and then she like turns her attention back to Aurora and is like whispering very softly to her, presumably asking her if she's okay. Um, and she's still holding her words, clearly calmed down for a second. Um, she kind of looks out at all of you and is like, I'm going to assume that you are the newcomers and that I don't have you to blame for this.
Yes, Z's just like, yes, no-ish.
She just gives you kind of like a withering, like, okay, then kind of look. Um, she's holding, and like Aurora's no longer like full on sobbing, but she's not doing great. So she very clearly used to being obeyed. She goes, I'll be right back. Just wait. I need to speak with you. And she walks with Aurora back to the same tent you saw Aurora get the necklace from. Um, She doesn't go back for the necklace. She just walks with her. So she goes into the tent with her. A minute or so later, she comes back out and is striding back up to you. That kind of like as fast as I can walk without breaking into a jog kind of walk. She comes up to all of you. I don't know enough about the situation to understand all of it, but from the little she was able to tell me, thank you for being there for her when I was gone. Aurora feels things very deeply, and it's one of the things I love about her, but I know that it is awkward for someone who doesn't know her sometimes. I appreciate you being kind, even though you didn't have to. Anyone got anything in response? I have something else, but I would say they were kind. Okay. She kind of like rights herself, changing modes. She says, I'm the Royal Huntsman. I think Aurora said she mentioned me. I'm Philippa. I've been debating about spending more time here, but there's been an issue that I've had to deal with, and I need to bring it to all of you. I've been finding carcasses in the forest, just left, with just bites, and that's it. It's not how any normal animal acts. Predators eat as much of it as they possibly can before they let the scavengers take it. I've been concerned about it. I finally tracked it back tonight, and well, it's Fenrir, and I'd usually take him on myself, but given the circumstances and his unusual boldness at leaving his territory, I'm worried that I wouldn't be able to take him on alone. And yeah, hi, mice.
Do I know who this is?
Oh, yes, you know who this is. This is a very nasty wolf. Humanoid wolf. Not a werewolf, but humanoid wolf.
Like nasty to the point where I should be afraid of him, or nasty to the point where I should charge a lot to go after him?
Given that you're mice, I would say that you should be afraid of him. But I think you would not want to admit it because he's such a dickhead that like you don't want to be afraid of him, but like you recognize that he is stronger than even the three of you combined.
Okay.
Yeah. Given what, so she continues for a second longer. She just says, given what we've learned about Hook, I'm worried that he has gained some sort of power too. Because I don't think he would defy Althea like this if he didn't have some new edge. And it just seems like too much of a coincidence. And that's where I'm going to end session.